Hi there. Welcome to Apple World. Diddy's assistant calls him Satan. I'm similar to damn. You understand what kind of things you became doing for someone to consider you Satan. That is insane. So Diddy's long-lasting colleague Capricorn Clark posted this on her confidential Twitter, saying people of color turned out to be the penance for the most recent 11 years of my life. It had to do with everybody's strange faithfulness to Satan. I ask that it closes. I don't appreciate any of you who can't hold your head down in addition to imagine that ish is cool. No more improve? So Diddy's right hand just emerged to uncover Diddy for undermining her life. And it appears as though he is going to think of himself as in another muddled claim. Capricorn, Diddy's assistant for over 10 years, just shouted out about the crazy things that she did with Diddy and how, in a real sense, he took steps to end her life since she didn't squeal on Cassie to him. Capricorn is likewise spilling the tea about the massy things that Cassie forgot about in her claim. And you all better bounce in because it's insane right now with this dramatization time. He beat down, what's a young lady named Cassie or anything that he had a partner by the name of Capricorn? He felt Capricorn C was keeping his on a low about in the event that she met some seer, not Puffy. So it truly is valid. It appears as though everybody's set for spill the tea on Diddy, and let me tell you all anything we assumed we realized about him before isn't anything contrasted with these. New disclosures sure consistently murmurs regarding him were being not all that pleasant, however, for reasons unknown. Those bits of gossip didn't get the consideration they merited. We discussed it yet, it was. It's only after Cassie dropped the claim bomb that everything exploded, and out of nowhere, more individuals felt enabled to share their own accounts. And listen, the more individuals have been opening up, the more we understand. Diddy may be surprisingly dangerous, and he's giving especially blameworthy. Since Cassie shared her reality, there's been an entire standard AF of allegations. And the insane part is that they're fundamentally affirming all that Cassie spread out in her claim. I mean, there were SUES violations and several crimes recorded in the claim, and it, in a real sense, opened up by uncovering that Diddy tried misventure in her own home after she attempted to leave. He frequently punched, kicked, and trampled Miss Venture, bringing about his burst lips, bruised eyes, and constrained Miss Venture to take part in cozy demonstrations with Mel as W's while getting off on it and shooting the experiences, requested that Miss Venture convey his fire in her first to make her self-conscious and illustrate how hazardous he is, and acquaint Miss Venture with a way of life of exorbitant liquor and substance, expected her to secure unlawful remedies to fulfill his own addictions. Currently, I'm no legitimate master, except for evidently contingent upon how terrible it is. DV can be a misdeed or a crime, yet from what I accumulate over and over, putting hands on Cassie and leaving her with wounds doesn't seem like a token punishment. Misdisposition circumstance to me. As per Cassie's claim, Diddy was tossing hands at all her possibilities he got, particularly when he was vexed, for instance. The court report said Mr. Combs misventure over and over in an escalade, including by kicking and hitting her. He constrained her out of the vehicle on Fifth Road in New York City. She was at last ready to flag down a taxi and get into her loft in Manhattan. Then there's likewise when she addressed a music director at a club, and he got irate. Lost it on her coming back. He blew up that when they left the club, Mr. Combs misventure driving her into an edge of the vehicle and puzzling all over when the vehicle showed up in Mr. Combs' home. Miss Venture endeavored to take off, yet Mr. Combs followed her and continued again to kick her in the face. His endeavor was drained lavishly and was guided into Mr. Cole's home, where she started to hurl from the V episode. So recollect when I said that Diddy was putting hands on Cassie could cross into a crime domain. Well, it turns out it's direction more terrible than we naturally suspected. The claim spills the tea that he didn't simply toss a couple of punches, he left her with wounds all over, likewise went well beyond to tidy up the proof of his DV, and he would send her to private lodgings and getaways so she could mend without the public figuring out what had occurred. And when I say crime, I mean out and out serious lawful offense stuff. The claim says he went full scale, beating her so hard and ping her with so many medications that she began to lose her memory. I mean, could you at any point even envision the degree of ruthlessness it takes to cause somebody to dislike their memory Vasu frames, that he got so neurotic at that he had her primary care physician send her clinical records directly to him? The court archive said on various events Mr. Combs had Miss Venture's very own clinical records sent straightforwardly to his email address. For example, when Miss Venture start encountering cognitive decline, possibly because of exorbitant medication use, or potentially head wounds brought about by my Combs' beatings as portrayed underneath her X-ray results were given straightforwardly to Mr. Combs. However, despite the fact that not entirely settled to keep his filthy clothing stowed away from the work, he couldn't have cared less on the off chance that individuals near him had some awareness of it. He presumably involved it as a self-image excursion or something. To keep individuals in line, he directly uphit Cassie directly before individuals, and they were recently stuck watching since they were terrified too. The center report said these beatings were seen by Mr. Combs' staff and representatives of terrible kid diversion and Mr. Combs' connected organizations, yet nobody really considered opposing their terrifying and fierce supervisor. Currently, could we at any point pause for a minute to get a handle on how out and out frightful you must be for everybody in your circle to be frightened by you to the place where they saw you beat the pants off of your sweetheart, yet not one of them even attempts to step in or save her. Did he truly took the term lowlife to an entirely different wrecked level. One of the lamentable bias Sanders was his associate Capricorn, and she is presently opposing Diddy. She's spilling tea on how he treated her when she worked for himself, and trust me, this tea is insane. It would seem in addition to the fact that Capricorn witnessed Diddy laying hands on Cassie, she needed to persevere through him putting hands on her. Presently recollect how in the court archives Cassie referenced she began dating Kid QE when she attempted to leave Diddy. Well, did he learned about it, and we should simply say it didn't end well, and he hurt her severely. The court report said that Mr. Combs told Miss Venture that he planned to explode Kid C's vehicle and that he needed to guarantee that Kid C was home with his companions when it occurred. Around that time, Unit's vehicle detonated in his carport. However, let Capricorn tell her he didn't stop there, since he additionally put hands on Capricorn after he heard Cassie. This was on the grounds that Capricorn had some awareness of Cassie's relationship with Paxi and didn't tell Diddy, so she became involved with the crossfire and wound up with bruises from Diddy's rage. Now you may be asking why Capricorn faced the challenge to cover for Cassie. Well, it turns out Capricorn's sister is Lauren London, who turned out to be one of Cassie's companions. This, likewise, makes sense of how Capricorn learned about the undertaking in any case, since Cassie took extraordinary measures to keep it on the download. And in the event you're thinking Capricorn may be lying about this for consideration, well, think about what shite himself upheld her on this. Dislike. He's got some new news, and at the same time, he beat down his mother. What's a young lady named Cassie or anything that he had a right hand by the name of Capricorn? Capricorn C was keeping his low about assuming that she was playing with QE or not. Puffy beat that, so purportedly Diddy went past smacking Capricorn around. She wound up with wounds on her own face. She lived in steady trepidation for her life and was mulling over making a lawful move and documenting a police report for her own security. When somebody from Intercorp Records mediated, they understood that Capricorn opening up to the world about the claim could truly harm Diddy's standing, so they worked out an agreement with her. They offered her cash in return for her quiet, and word on the roads is that Capricorn wasn't after the cash. However, she felt pushed into a tight spot and had no way out. She realized she was in far over her head, and declining the proposition might have come about in serious harm. And just to add a load to this, SUES shook K1LL upheld her on this. Now it out of her. It was an NCOPE individual, the NCOPE he really look at that paid her to settle, yet he wouldn't go to prison yet. Diddy didn't let her go effectively on the grounds that after Diddy terminated her, he supposedly circumvented towns, spreading tales that she was a cheat who took from him, guaranteeing that is the reason she got terminated, so he essentially boycotted her, guaranteeing that she never got one more private colleague work in the business. Yet it seems as though Capricorn is finished remaining quiet about this, since Cassie's claim has provided her with a ton of strength. When she learned about the claim, she promptly concealed Diddy, saying, "Don't follow the way of the insidious, don't follow the individuals who do abhorrent, avoid that way, don't go close to it, pivot and go another way." Adages 4:14, entryways must be opened. You move to leave the cash, full stop. 2011 was damnation anyway. She was obviously still unnerved by Diddy, since she put her Twitter account on confidential after her tweet became a web sensation. However, she opened up to the world after a couple of days. And listen, she has been returning her whole self to uncovering Diddy. She uncovered the business for empowering Diddy's terrible way of behaving and concealing for him while watching him